Hey guys, tonight we drift softly into the scented shadows of the ancient world. Imagine the gentle curl of smoke from a distant brazier, carrying whispers of resin and flour on a warm evening breeze. Like and subscribe if you enjoy these quiet journeys through time. Comment where you're listening from and what time it is there. Settle in as we uncover how scent-shaped rituals, medicine, power, and daily life in civilizations long faded, yet their fragrant legacies linger like mist over forgotten rivers. Let the words wash over you, slow and steady, as we breathe in the essence of history's hidden aromas. Close your eyes, feel the oils on skin warmed by sun-baked stone. Hear the faint sizzle of spices meeting flame. Tonight, no rush, no clamor, just the soothing drift of stories scented with the past. In Egypt's Nile valleys, where the river's breath mingled with lotus blooms, scent was the soul's silent companion. The air hung heavy with kifi, that sacred blend born from temple shadows. Its recipe etched in stone at Edfu and Philae, 16 ingredients woven like a prayer. Honey first, thick and golden, stirred with wine from sun-ripened grapes, raisins plump and dark. Then myrrh's bitter resin tears, juniper berries crushed to release their piney sigh, cypress roots ground fine, turpentine resin from distant pines, aspalathus shrubs with thorny whispers, calamus reeds sharp and earthy, rushes woven into the mix. Plutarch spoke of Seseli's subtle green, Mastic's chewable pine, bittern's dark earthiness, sorbapple's tartness, cardamom pods bursting soft, small junipers for depth. Galen added cassia bark's cinnamon warmth, true cinnamon's spice. Saffron threads like sunset strands, bdellium's gummy sweetness, spikenard from Himalayan heights. Egyptian hearts stirred in mint's cool lift, henna's green dye, mimosa's floral hush. Picture the priests in Thebes, linen robes whispering against sandstone walls, blending this kifi under torchlight that danced like fireflies on oil-slicked jars. Boiled slow in vats of aged wine, the mixture cooled into balls, stored in alabaster vessels cool to the touch. Burned at dawn, smoke rose lazy to his golden face, carrying prayers upward, purifying the air thick with desert dust. Not just for God's pharaohs anointed with it, skin glistening under the relentless sun. While common folk in mud brick homes crumbled cheap resins over hearth fires, dreaming of temple luxury, they bathed in rose water drawn from delta petals, while we spritz from cans today. Progress, or merely a fainter echo. Kifi healed too, drunk as potion for lungs weary from Nile floods, liver burdened by feast. Tutankhamun's tomb yielded jars still scented, myrrh and frankincense clinging to eternity's edge. Mummies wrapped in linen soaked in cedar oil, their eternal sleep perfumed against the void. Women in Memphis markets bartered lily oils for hair dark as night. Men rubbed bolanos from olives unripe, green and sharp, into calloused hands after fields. Seduction bloomed in unguents of mandrake and civet. Whispers of desire in shadowed alleys where Nile lamps flickered low. Trade routes snaked from Punsma groves, camels laden with spikenard sacks. Frankincense tears hard as amber, carried north on winds that smelled of salt and spice. Deep in the temples of Karnak, Kifi's fumes curled around colossal statues, priests chanting low. Voice is blending with the sizzle of resin on coals. Each ingredient chosen from magic honey for sweetness of life, myrrh for death's transition, raisins for earth's fertility. The blind harpist of the new kingdom sang of scents that lifted the car to the stars, his fingers plucking strings while incense veiled the court in haze. Elite noses turned to imported luxuries, Punt's black ebony wood infused with oils, while peasants made do with local galangal roots, boiled in beer for a humble bomb. Sarcasm in the papyri. Scribes mocked the vain who drowned in perfume. Yet all craved the status of a whiff from the god king's flask. Expand this world, imagine a dawn ritual. Water from the sacred well poured over granite altars. Kiffy balls placed in bronze bowls, flame licking slow. Smoke trails upward, pear-shaped clouds hugging columns carved with God's serene faces. The high priest, shaved head gleaming, inhales deep, feels the blend seep into pores, juniper clearing mind, saffron soothing spirit, cinnamon warming blood. Across the valley, embalmers in torchlit workshops mix natron with pine resin, stuffing cavities with linen soaked in pistachio oil, ensuring the dead smelled of life eternal. Markets buzz soft at midday, vendors calling frankincense from Saba, pure as Isis tear, bartering with farmers whose carts reek of garlic and sweat, trading coppers for a drop of lotus attar. Rituals deepened with seasons. Addo Pet Festival, boats gliding Nileward, priests flinging handfuls of kiffy into waters, ripples carrying fragrance to fields below, pleading fertility from happy. Lovers met in palm groves, anointing each other with moringa oil, seed pods crushed fresh, its nutty warmth evoking Earth's embrace. Medicine texts from Eber's papyrus list blends for headaches, acacia gum boiled with coriander, cooled and sniffed for relief or for childbirth, cumin and honey rubbed on bellies taut with promise. Power too. Queens like Hatshepsut built ships for mer quests. Her mortuary temple echoing with I have brought the incense lands to my house. Her legacy a puff of smoke in history's breath. Commoners' scents were earthier, fishermen daubed with fish oil mixed fenugreek, pungent against river reek. Weavers inhaled flax steeped in vinegar and modrum for steady hands. Myths wove scent into creation, tar-shaped world from fragrant clay. Atom emerged from nuns' perfumed waters. Quirky scandals, courtiers overdosed on aphrodisiac spikenard, collapsing in giggling heaps. Scribes noting to much nard loosens tongues and limbs. Children played with clay cones scented clove, mimicking temple grandeur. As sun dipped, home braziers glowed, families sharing bread dipped in thyme oil. Conversations lulled by evening incense. Yet Kiffy's heart was afterlife bound. Book of dead spells demanded sense. For the weighing of the heart, mummies' wrappings layered with cassia lignia, imported bark like cinnamon's kin, chests filled with flowers wilted but willed eternal. Expeditions to land of Punt returned with elephants' weight in resins. STORED in royal vaults, where air stayed thick for centuries. Priests trained noses like Sumliers, distinguishing Punt myrrh's smoke from Arabian's honeyed note. Daily life pulsed with it. Barbers shaved with almond oil, cooks flavored ibis with garlic essence. Healers brewed mandrake for sleep deep as Nile silt. Transition slow now, as trade winds carried these scented cargoes eastward, beyond the Nile's bend, Two valleys where ziggurats pierced reed-fringed skies. Mesopotamia's temple fumes awaited, heavier, earthier, born from cuneiform dreams. In summer's cradle, Uruk's walls rising from mud, incense pleased gods capricious as Tigris floods. Resins from cedar Lebanon forests, cypress groves tall and sighing, burned in ziggurat peaks, where priests in fringed skirts waved fans of pom to spread the haze. Cuneiform tablets whisper recipes, pistachio mixed bitumen for ungans thick as fate, sesame oil base for daily rubs, myrrh imported via Gulf ships rocking gentle. Royal graves at her yielded golden cups scented still, ladies draped in lapis beads, their bodies oiled Hebron from date palms, eternal elegance in earth's arms. Smoke curled lazy from hill censers, bow-shaped vessels mimicking sacred mountains, apertures letting vapor swirl like Pengloi mists wait. No, that's later echoes. Here in summer, simple braziers sufficed, clay bowls etched with bull's horns. Gods demanded it. Inanna's temples reeked of tamarisk and thyme, offerings piled high to sway her favor. Kings like Judea dreamed scents, building temples where fragrance filled the land like rain. Common folk burned cheap reeds dipped resin, hoping Anu's gaze downward. Medicine flowed scented, clay tablets list cedar for coughs, cypress cones for wounds, bitumen pastes for bones broken by plough. Elite versus plum. Nobles lounged in gardens misted rose attar from Iranian hills, while slaves smeared onion oil against labor's ache. Trade pulsed. Phoenician sails brought nard. Arabian frankincense caravans crested posses, scents mingling in bazaars, where haggling hummed soft under reed awnings. Deep in the drift, envision Nipper at dusk. Ziggurat steps ascending to Etemenenki's blue-glazed glory, priests chanting Sumerian low, tossing juniper berries onto coals. Smoke rises veiling stars, evoking Earth's core gifts. Scribes in dim scriptoria anoint styluses with balm, ink flowing smoother. Lovers steal moments in date groves, crushing figs with spikenard for skin's silk. Quirks, scandals of priestesses over-perfumed for lovers divine. Texts chiding to much myrrh blinds the god's eye. Babylon amplified, hanging gardens misted with exotic blooms. Nebuchadnezzar's Ishtar gate guarding sense of empire. Hanging gardens, terraces dripped water-scented jasmine, king wooing queen with heirs from afar. Recipes evolved. Pliny notes Babylonian suzinum, iris, and spices in oil, long boiled for strength. Assyrians added lion fat to musk for warriors' rubs, courage in every whiff. Daily rhythms. Bakers infused bread with anise, potters sealed jars with pine pitch-smelling forest. Afterlife called for it. Graves packed with incense balls, ensuring shades wandered fragrant fields. As Euphrates whispered, braziers glowed in homes, families sharing tales laced with cumin smoke. But as rivers fed seas, scents sailed to island realms, where Minoan frescoes danced with saffron strands, Crete's palaces perfumed deep. Crete's palaces perfumed deep. Where Minoan frescoes danced with saffron strands plucked from crocus fields under azure skies. In Knossos labyrinthine halls red, and blue walls gleamed under oil lamps air thick. With the island's golden ungainst jars unearthed still clinging to rose. and lily essences after millennia in Earth's quiet embrace, archaeologists in Pyrgos unearthed the perfume factory bronze distilling stills and stone mortars stained with thyme sage wild. Bioluminescence of mountain meadows captured in clay amphories sealed with olive pitch. Priests and priestesses bare-armed in flowing skirts, crushed petals in vats steam rising soft. As morning mist blending oils for libations poured at mountain peaks where earth met sky. Saffron threads precious as Minoan gold dominated crocus stigmas harvested by girls in white. Fingers stained orange steeped in olive oil base smooth from Cretan presses. Recipes whispered from fresco hints. Hyacinth bulbs ground fine. Iris rhizomes aged damp for violet sweetness. Lentis pistachia resin from maquis shrubs lending balsamic depth. Common folk in Akrotiri's buried streets daubed simple garlic oils. On skin sunbaked from sea voyages, while elites lounged in lustral basins. Water-scented mandarin leaf and pine, emerging glistening like gods from foam. Trade winds bore these to Egypt's shores, Minoan ships heavy with amphorae bartering for lapis. That colored their own scented cones placed on altars. Imagine a ritual at Phaistos, dusk painting peaks, lavender high priestess dipping, ivory handled. Spoons into warm oil blends, anointing bull horns curved graceful. Smoke from incense burners shaped like leaping dolphins curled lazy. Saffron's honeyed hay mingling with rosemary's piney snap, evoking earth's fertile pulse. Healers mixed barley water with sage for fevers. Inhaled deep to soothe lungs salt stung from Aegean gales. Seduction played soft. Lovers in palm-shaded courtyards rubbed lentisk balm. Its green warmth sparking whispers under stars. Quirky finds, writer vessels for pouring scented wine horns. Shaped like hedgehogs sniffing at a playful divinity in every whiff. Daily life breathed it. Fishermen coated nets with pine resin against rot. Smelling forest on waves. Weavers steeped woolen modron dye for garments soft-scented. Myths wove scent into bull-leaping rites. Daedalus wings, perhaps oiled cedar to glide true. Elite noses prized imports cedar from Lebanon. Cinnamon whispers from a far while peasants burned cheap scrub juniper, hoping the U.S. favor. As earthquakes shook palaces, scents lingered in ruins. A fragrant ghost of Minoan grace. Power too. Queens in frescoes offered saffron to Potnia Therin, lady of beasts. Her favor bought with aroma sweet as nectar. Markets hummed gentle at Zakros harbor. Vendors hawking saffron from mountain blooms. Pure as mother's milk. Trading with Egyptians for ivory combs carved to hold unghent drops. Children chased hoops scented clove, mimicking temple purity. Medicine texts inferred from tools. Rock rose for wounds. Its leathery rose healing cuts from bronze sickles. Afterlife bound, graves sprinkled with thyme balls. Ensuring shades danced fragrant in Elysian fields. As sea breezes carried Minoan essences westward to mainland Hellas. Greek symposia grew heavy with myrrh, the air of philosophers tinged with God's breath. In Athens shadowed agoras, and olive groves scents elevated symposia, where men reclined on couches garlands of rose, and myrtle draping brows damp with wine. Theophrastus chronicled it in On Odors. 16 perfume types from simple oils to compounds complex. Myrrh-dominant its amber tears burned slow, smoke veiling debates on virtue and vice. Recipes flowed, Megaspirion of 1.5 liters lily oil for minima, 1 ma each cinnamon, cassia, plus cardamom, nard, saffron steeped days in sun-warmed vats, Crocombian blended crocus with oil, a golden glow for skin, Libonotis, myrrh steeped in lily oil, used also as medicine for coughs. Women in Corinth veiled faces with white lead paste scented jasmine, hair pomades of almond oil thick with spikenard, braids gleaming under torchlight. Public baths echoed with steam-laced frankincense, slaves pouring hot water over marble. Essence is blooming floral, elite versus commoner. Philosophers dabbed Acritan pure nard for contemplation deep, while laborers rubbed cheap thyme on feet blistered from docks. Trade routes from Arabia snaked through Syria camel trains, depositing frankincense at Piraeus, where it fueled Eleusinian mysteries' sacred fumes. Drift into a symposium, night liars plucking soft slaves circling with craters of wine-spiced clove, and nutmeg air heavy myrrh braziers near tripods. Plato inhales deep, feels mind clear as marble. Aristotle notes sense humoral balance. Hot myrrh cooling bile. Healers prescribed Rhodian perfume, rhodium rose, iris, myrrh for melancholy. Vapors lifting spirits fogged. Seduction's art. Courtesans anointed with megalia. Heavy floral seduction. Whispers trailing floral mist. Sarcasm in Aristophanes' plays. Old men mocking youths drowned in perfume like heterae. Yet all craved the whiff of status. Myths perfumed deep. Aphrodite born from sea foam scented myrtle. Her girdle woven with desire's aroma. Gods on Olympus burned nectar, ambrosia mortals aping with honeyed Kyphi echoes. Quirks, scandals of Alcibiades stealing Spartan queens unguents, or athletes rubbing lion fat musk before Olympics. Courage in musk's musk. Daily drifts. Bakers infused loaves with anise. Potters sealed amphorae with pine pitch forest fresh. Medicine from Hippocrates. Vinegar sniffs for fainting, rose oils for burns sun-scorched. As symposia faded to empires, march Rome's public baths, and private ungains amplified the haze. Forum's twilight bringing bolder blends. Rome's thermes steamed with regal sense, emperors mandating baths thrice daily air thick. From suspended baskets dripping rosewater laurel and fenugreek over bathers' heads. Pliny the Elder catalogued in Natural History over 100 recipes. Susinum of iris bulbs stored 3 years in clay, boiled with honey. Omphacian green olive oil with myrrh, cinnamon, cassia. Regia blending 26 ingredients: costus, nard, myrrh, frankincense. Saffron for Nero's golden house orgies. Common baths used cheap lesopetium, silphium from Cyrene, pungent as garlic for sweat masking. Elite villas misted with fountains spraying a mummum water. Cardamom spice cooling marble halls. Slaves fanned peacock feathers over guests' oiled telene. Oil of roses and quinces. Markets at Sabera reeked trade. Arabian frankincense. Indian nard via Red Sea. Phoenician glass vials of attar clinking. Caligula bathed in us milk-scented jasmine, his excess a whiff of madness. Emperors gifted amphorae of Metopian vinegar perfumed to legions, morale in every dab. Envision a Sabur twilight. Vendors crying nard from the Himalayas, pure as Vestals vow bartering with matrons. For crocus oil hair shines. Baths hum. Frigidarium chills with mint vapors. Caldarium blooms fenugreek steam. whispers echoing tile. Senators rub amiris on togas, sandalwood smoke trailing curious steps. Medicine prescribed. Galen's theriac with 60 for spices vipers ground in honey for poisons. Women drank silphium for barren worms, its extinction a faint echo. Seduction scandals. Messalina's brothel nights, perfumed musk civet poppia's golden feet washed. Nard worth kingdoms Nero's grief bankrupting treasuries. Myths romanized. Venus myrtle groves. Bacchus wine spiced clove. Quirks. Gladiators oiled boar fat before arena. Crowd roaring musk mingled. Daily. Cooks flavored dormice with laser. Bakers coriander loaves. Trade empires grew. Via Maris carried scents to Gaul. Britain aping with local vervain. Afterlife. Catacombs incense sealed, ensuring saints' bones. Breathed holy with Rome's reach eastward, Persian palaces took sense bolder. Zoroastrian fires fed tamarisk and sandalwood. In Persia's vast plateaus, Achaemenid kings scented halls with rose attar. From Shiraz gardens, canals channeling waters, over cascades blooming jasmine mist. Herodotus noted royal tables misted with incense, queens anointing with Golia jasmine, musk. Ambergris layered slow, recipes from Sassanid texts, sandalwood powder steeped almond oil, vetiver roots for earth depth, out agarwood smoke from Aquilaria trees diseased sweet. Zoroastrian halma ritual burned cedar, rue, milkweed on sacred fires never dying. Smoke rising pure to Ara Mazda. Elite hunts. Kings rubbed deer musk on saddles. Courage animal wild. Commoners burned cheap pistachia terebinth. Terebinth resins snapping coals. Trade silk road precursors. Indian nard caravans crested Zogros. Arabian myrrh via Gulf ports. Bazaars at Persepolis hummed out vendors. Agarwood chips, smoke like paradise gardens. Drift to Susa Palace, 10,000 guests reclining silk cushions. Slaves pouring sharbat rosewater chilled snow from mountains. Air-heavy sandalwood braziers. Priests chanting overstand low, rue-purifying demons. Healers mixed attar damask rose with saffron for plagues. Vapors cooling fevers. Seduction. Harems veiled Golia. Layers unfolding night long. Quirks. Xerxes drowning white horses in perfume vats for sea. God excess salty sweet. Daily. Nomads daubed camel wool with ladanum. Rockrose gum coned from goat fur. Farmers thyme-infused plows. Afterlife. Ossuaries scented. Bones picked clean, fragrant. As Persian satraps traded with Indus. Scents flowed to Ganges valleys. Vedic fires calling. Vedic India breathed Agnihotra smoke. Sandalwood logs slow burning on household altars. Air thick with ghee clarified butter sizzling herbs. Rigveda hymns praise guggle resin. Delium tears from commiphora trees. Camphor crystals from Himalayan evergreens vaporizing cool. Ayurvedic texts detail syrup-fumed wines spiced nutmeg, clove. Tailor oils sesame based with vetiver. Jasmine absolute for dosha balance. Elite. Morayan quartz misted champaca flowers. Magnolia blooms floating pools. Commoners crushed henna leaves with mustard oil for hair earth red. Trade spikenard nard roots from Himachal. Exported Rome feigned. Costa sorceria pungent to China. Markets at Pataliputra. Chandin pure. Wood of gods. Bartered elephants' tusks. Ritual dom. Brahmins circle fire pits. Tossing bielva wood fragrant. Sandal paste on skin cooling. Smoke veils people trees sacred. Healers prescribed nard for epilepsy. Vapors inhaled deep. Seduction. Kama Sutra oils. Musk deer pods crushed for lovers' glow. Quirks. Scandals of courtesans. Bana oils aphrodisiac. Kings ruined whiff by whiff daily. Yogs rub turmeric paste golden. Cooks are sophotidaing in curries pungent. Afterlife. Pyres sandalwood stacked, ensuring moksha fragrant. Hebrew temples next, as caravan routes converged Jerusalem. In Zion's hills, tabernacle tent rippled linen. Ketret incense altar smoke curling to Yahweh's mercy seat. Exodus 30 recipes sacred, stacked, onycha, galbanum, frankincense equal parts, salt ground pure. Daily offerings morning dusk, onycha muscle operculus smoky, galbanum bitter green from ferula. Stacked storax honeyed priests blending secret. Death penalty for replication profane. Elite. King's anointed spikenard oil. Song of Solomon praises nard and saffron. Calamus with cinnamon. Commoners burned cheap cassia home altars. Trade Phoenician. Tyre ships. Frankincense Yemen. Temple courts hummed pilgrims tossing Merdot drift to Yom Kippur. High priest robed linen. Compounding incense gold pans. Coals hissing sacred. Smoke fills holy of holies. Atoning haze. Healers snuffed hyssop vinegar plagues. Seduction biblical. Esther's myrtle oils beauty. Quirks. Maccabean revolt over Hellenic sense in pure dot as desert winds carried east. China's dynasties refined incense art. Shang bronzes bow-shaped censers let smoke swirl mountain-like. Agarwood chips from Annam burning slow. Vapors purifying palaces. Han texts detail Shan fragrances graded 9. Dragon saliva musk. Tiered pure to foul. Tang Emperor's Li Shimen scented robes with clove-stuffed oranges. Pomander's dangling silk. Elite. Concubines at a plum blossom. Commoners mugwort smoked midsummer. Silk Road. Benzoin Sumatra. Camphor Borneo. Temples Chanburn sandalwood logs chanting. Ritual. Ancestor worship braziers alosewood. Smoke carrying prayers. Healers acupuncture moxa mugwort cones fiery. Quirks. Impressors bathing mercury scented poison pretty. Phoenician seas bridged. Their hulls laden scents Mediterranean. Ters harbors clinked glass vials. Huron's fleets cedar Lebanon myrrh ophir. Purple-dyed robes madder root fixed. Scents masking dye reek. Carthage amplified. Hannibal's elephants rubbed spikenard before Alps. Twilight gently blankets the ancient trade routes, and with it, the world starts to blend into a soothing symphony of scents. Can you imagine walking through Egypt's temples, where the air is thick with kifi, or wandering through the smoky ziggurats of Mesopotamia? It's like stepping into a time machine, right? We've already journeyed through the rich cultures of Greece and the opulent baths of Rome. But now the map begins to soften, and it's the connections between these places that truly come alive. The world of fragrance transforms into a web, stretching from shore to shore, binding these ancient civilizations together. Picture this. As you stroll along the caravan paths, the air is filled with the earthy smells of wool and leather, mingling with the warm dust kicked up by tired animals. But there's more to it than just that. Hidden deep within the caravan, wrapped carefully in cloth and leather, are bundles of dried roots, jars of fragrant resin, and flasks of precious oils. The traders knew their value. A single sack of spikenard, harvested from the rocky Himalayan slopes, could fetch a price that would make your jaw drop, maybe even enough to buy a small field. And then there's the golden frankincense, collected from trees clinging stubbornly to the dry hills of Arabia. It wasn't just a luxury, it was a ticket to food, shelter, and the favor of powerful nobles or demanding temples. Every region had its own aromatic treasures. The Egyptians adored their kifi, lotus, and lily oils, but they were also open to the allure of myrrh and frankincense from the south. They'd lavish these scents in their temples and tombs, making every ceremony feel like a grand celebration of life and death. The Mesopotamians, on the other hand, loved to burn cedar, cypress, and local herbs on their high platforms. But guess what? They also started to incorporate distant aromas that promised richer smoke and a unique bite in the air. It's like they were mixing up a fragrant cocktail of cultures. The Greeks, oh, they took it to a whole new level. They joyfully experimented, blending local flowers with imported spices to create complex unguents that were as much art as they were scent. And the Romans, they were all about excess. With a pantry that stretched from India to Spain, they pushed the boundaries of fragrance, turning it into a status symbol that screamed luxury. But let us not forget about what was happening on the other side of the deserts and seas. Indian healers and priests were hard at work with sandalwood, vetiver, nard, and a whole array of plants that wouldn't grow anywhere near the Nile or the Tiber. They were distilling and infusing these materials, writing down calm, step-by-step instructions: soak, crush, warm, strain, and rest. It's like they were creating a sacred ritual in every bottle. Meanwhile, in the East, Chinese scholars and artisans were burning agarwood, cloves, and camphor, compressing powders into tiny pellets that could smolder through an entire evening of poetry or meditation. Can you feel the atmosphere? And over on those far-off islands, cloves and nutmeg were ripening on trees that no Greek had ever laid eyes on. But guess what? The dried buds and seeds traveled quietly north, making their way into wines, oils, and incense blends many months later. It's incredible how these scents traveled across the world, connecting people in ways they might not have even realized. Across this vast, interconnected world, perfume was never just a fleeting pleasure. In temples, the rising smoke became a visible prayer, a delicate ladder for supplication and praise. In palaces, scented oils announced rank and refined taste, turning the softness of the skin and the care of the body into small performances of power. In sick rooms, bombs and fumes served as medicine, gently numbing or warming, depending on the belief and the blend. And in brothels and lovers' chambers, perfume transformed the body into a small, moving altar of desire. It's fascinating how something as simple as scent could hold such power. For ordinary folks, whose names often get lost in the pages of history, scent was more intimate yet still significant. Just imagine a little smoke rising from a household altar at dawn or dusk, or a cheap oil rubbed into cracked hands after a long day's work. Maybe it was a sprig of a strongly scented plant hung by a bed to ward off illness, or tucked into hair before a festival. The ingredients might have been simple local herbs, animal fats, kitchen spices, but the ideas behind them mirrored those of the Grand Courts. Comfort, protection, purification, and a quiet joy. If you take a moment to picture the entire ancient world, with night settling gently across deserts, coasts, river plains, and mountains, you can almost visualize countless small points of light. Fires flickering in homes, barracks, sanctuaries, and palaces. Above many of those fires, delicate threads of smoke are rising. In one place, the air is sweet with honeyed wine and myrrh. In another, it's rich with sandalwood and ghee. Farther away, it might be agarwood and clove or cedar and juniper. Each plume curls upward, visible for just a moment before thinning and disappearing into the night. But as they fade, they leave behind a memory in the air and on the skin of those nearby. This ancient obsession with scent was, in the end, a gentle way of reaching beyond the ordinary. Just think about it, a drop of oil on the wrist could make someone feel cleaner, calmer, or even more powerful. A handful of incense on coals could transform a simple room into a temple, even if the walls were rough and the roof was thatched. The smoke from a funeral pyre could become a promise that a beloved one wouldn't travel alone into the unseen. The same simple materials, roots, wood, leaves, resins, fats, and oils were rearranged time and again into different combinations, each giving the moment a unique weight. As you drift with these thoughts, you might start to notice that this ancient world of fragrance isn't really gone. It lingers in a way spices bloom in hot oil, in a modern kitchen in the way a stick of incense curls smoke in a quiet room, or how a drop of perfume on your neck can completely change the vibe of your day. The names of kings and cities may have faded, but the gestures are almost unchanged. A hand reaches out, something scented meets flame or skin, and for a brief moment, the air becomes softer, richer, more than just plain air. Then it fades, leaving behind only the memory, settling gently like dust in a shaft of evening light. So, the next time you catch a whiff of something familiar, take a moment to appreciate the history and the stories that scent carries with it. It's not just about smelling good. It's about connecting with the past, embracing the present, and savoring the little moments that make life truly fragrant. Isn't that a beautiful thought? Hey guys, tonight we drift back into a time before gym memberships, protein shakes, or glowing treadmills humming in the dark. Let your shoulders soften and your breathing slow as we step into quiet courtyards and sunlit training grounds where the body was shaped by ritual, rhythm, and belief rather than mirrors or numbers. This is the Sleepless Historian, and if you enjoy these calm journeys through forgotten worlds, you can like and subscribe, and leave a gentle comment about where you're listening from tonight. Whether it's a dim bedroom, a long road, or a sleepless city window glowing with rain, there is nothing to learn here that must be remembered. There is only the soft unfolding of history, told slowly enough to fade into rest. Imagine the morning air thick with incense and sweat, the sound of bare feet on packed earth, the low murmur of voices greeting the day. Long before modern fitness promised youth or beauty, movement was prayer, survival, and quiet discipline. Muscles were not sculpted for mirrors, but for gods, wars, harvests, and the simple dignity of endurance. Tonight we will walk among ancient athletes who never called themselves athletes, who trained not for competitions broadcast across the world, but for life itself. As we move from river valleys to marble cities, from jungle temples to desert sands, let the pace remain unhurried. Let each image settle like dust in warm light. We begin where many human stories begin, beside a great river, under a rising sun, in the painted walls of ancient Egypt. The Nile flowed slowly, carrying silt and memory, and along its banks bodies learned to move with purpose. In ancient Egypt, exercise was not a separate activity, not something scheduled between meals, but a woven thread in daily life. The sun rose over mud brick villages and stone temples, and men and boys stepped onto packed earth courtyards where wrestling was already underway. We know this not from manuals or written programs, but from walls themselves, from tomb paintings that freeze motion across thousands of years. Figures lock arms and twist hips, their bodies outlined in red and ochre. Each grip carefully rendered by artists who understood movement intimately. Wrestling in Egypt was not chaotic. It was structured, ritualized, and deeply respected. Boys learned holds the way scribes learned symbols, repeating them until the body remembered without thought. The sand underfoot was warm even in early morning, and it softened falls while reminding the wrestler of gravity's constant presence. There were no weight plates here, no iron bars, only bodies testing bodies, breath against breath. Strength came from repetition, from daily labor, from lifting water jars, hauling nets, shaping stone. The diet of these early athletes was simple and abundant in its own way. Bread made from emmer wheat, thick and dark, filled the stomach. Beer, weak and nourishing, replaced water and restored energy. Onions and garlic were believed to give strength, their sharp scent clinging to sweat-soaked skin. Recovery was unspoken but constant. The body rested with the rhythm of the sun, sleeping soon after dark, rising before heat returned. Oil was rubbed into skin not for luxury, but for health, keeping muscles supple and protected from dryness. Strength in Egypt was not vanity, it was devotion. Pharaohs were depicted as eternally youthful and powerful, striking enemies and drawing bows, not because they trained like gods, but because power itself was divine. To move well was to honor order, Mot, the balance of the universe. As the sun climbed higher over temple courtyards, wrestling gave way to labor, and labor itself became the training ground. Meanwhile, across the Mediterranean, stone cities were slowly rising from hills, and with them came a new idea that exercise could be separated, refined, and elevated into culture. In ancient Greece, the gymnasium was born not as a room of machines, but as an open space where mind and body met beneath the sky. The palestra smelled of olive oil and dust, of sun-warmed stone and human presence. Young men trained naked, not out of exhibitionism, but from belief that the body, unhidden, revealed truth. Sand clung to calves and forearms as runners circled tracks, measured not by meters, but by tradition. There was no rush. A trainer's voice carried calmly, correcting posture, reminding athletes to breathe, to move as one piece rather than scattered parts. Exercises were simple yet relentless, running over varied terrain hardened feet and lungs. songs. Jumping with stone weights in hand strengthened legs and balance. Discus throwing required rotation and control, teaching power through grace rather than force. Wrestling returned here to, refined and named, a test of technique over brute strength. Diet followed philosophy. Bread, figs, cheese, olives, and occasional fish sustained training. Meat was rare and sometimes discouraged, believed to cloud the mind. Wine was diluted with water, sipped slowly. Recovery was ritual. After training, athletes scraped sweat and oil from their skin with curved bronze strigils, a sound like quiet rain on metal. Then bathed in cool water. Massage followed, hands working muscles with patience learned over years. The Greeks believed excellence, erect, came from harmony. A strong body without a disciplined mind was incomplete. They did not count repetitions, but they perfected repetition, returning day after day to the same movements until they became second nature, as afternoon shadows lengthened across marble columns. Philosophers strolled nearby, reminding athletes that strength without wisdom was dangerous, and wisdom without strength was fragile. Night fell gently, and bodies rested, knowing tomorrow would bring the same slow work again. The Roman world inherited Greek movement and reshaped it with iron discipline. Where Greece sought harmony, Rome demanded endurance. Training grounds echoed with the thud of wooden swords striking posts, the rhythmic march of soldiers covering endless miles beneath the sun. Roman workouts were not elegant, but they were effective. Recruits carried packs heavier than any modern gym bag, marching information across hills and roads, their sandals slapping stone in steady cadence. Strength was built through utility, digging trenches, constructing camps, lifting shields larger than a man's torso. Even leisure mirrored labor. Ball games involved throwing and catching heavy objects. Swimming across rivers was expected, not optional. Gladiators trained apart from soldiers, within enclosed schools that smelled of sweat, blood, and cooked grain. Contrary to modern myth, gladiators were not carved from protein and meat, but from carbohydrates. They ate barley porridge and beans, earning the nickname Hordoi, barley men. This diet padded muscles with a layer of fat that protected against cuts, keeping fighters alive for future bouts. Training was controlled and repetitive. Wooden weapons weighed more than steel, making real combat feel lighter. Hours were spent perfecting stance, footwork, timing. Recovery was pragmatic. Ash mixed with vinegar was consumed for calcium, a strange tonic scraped from burned bones. Baths soothed aching limbs, and sleep came quickly to exhausted bodies. Roman philosophy valued disciplina, the quiet acceptance of routine. A strong body was a tool of empire, not a personal achievement. As torches lit stone corridors and night settled over barracks and arenas, bodies rested not in comfort, but in readiness, prepared to rise again at dawn. As the moonlight dances across the Mediterranean, we're on a journey that takes us further east, crossing sprawling deserts and towering mountain passes. You can almost feel the air change, becoming humid and sweet, filled with the earthy sense of sandalwood and fresh rain-soaked earth. And here we are, in ancient India, long before the word yoga was just a trendy thing to do in a heated room. Back then, movement wasn't just about the body, it was about the spirit, too. Picture this, a clearing in a lush forest, the ground swept clean of leaves, where the only sound you hear is the deep, rhythmic Ujjayi breathing of someone practicing. This was the world of the ancient Kshatriya warriors and the wise sages who guided them. Their training was a beautiful bridge connecting the physical and the metaphysical. They didn't just lift weights. They swung the Gada, a hefty stone mace attached to a bamboo pole. Imagine a warrior, muscles rippling, swinging this mace in sweeping circles above his head. The weight pulls at his core, demanding a stability that feels rooted deep in the earth. The Gada wasn't just any weapon. It was the weapon of Lord Hanuman, the monkey god known for his incredible strength. Swinging it wasn't just a workout. It was an act of devotion. And let's not forget the Nul, those large stone donuts worn around the neck or held in the hands to add resistance to squats and lunges. It's wild to think about how they trained, right? But take a closer look at their skin. It's slick, not just with sweat, but with medicinal oils like mustard oil or sesame oil infused with herbs such as ashwagandha. This wasn't about looking good. It was about keeping their joints supple and their nervous systems calm. The philosophy behind all this was prana, the life force that flows through everything. They believed that if you moved without being aware of your breath, you were just wasting energy. Their practice of Surya Namaskar, or the sun salutation, wasn't just a warm-up. It was a heartfelt prayer to the source of all life. Each movement was perfectly timed with an inhale or an exhale, creating a slow, hypnotic flow that built bodies as flexible as vines, yet as strong as oaks. Their diet was sattvic, pure and light. They'd break their fast with soaked almonds, honey, and fresh milk from cows treated with the utmost respect. Heavy meats? Nope. They avoided those, choosing instead lentils, ghee, and rice to keep their minds sharp and their spirits high. As the tropical sun begins to burn through the morning mist, we see these warriors transition from the mace to the Kalarippayattu pits. The ground is dug deep into the earth to keep the air cool. And here, they mimic the movements of animals, the strike of the cobra, the leap of the tiger, the stability of the elephant. They weren't just exercising. They were soaking up the wisdom of the natural world around them. Now, let's take a little detour north, over the jagged, snow-capped peaks of the Himalayas, where we find ourselves in the misty valleys of China, in the courtyards of the Shaolin Temple, and the hidden mountain retreats of Taoist monks. Fitness took on a different vibe. The air is crisp, smelling of pine and incense. And we're stepping into the era of the Wukingxi, or the 5 animal frolics, created by the legendary physician Huatu. He watched the crane standing on one leg and saw the secret of balance. He observed the bear and discovered the essence of internal power. Here, the monks don't value bulging muscles like those Roman gladiators. They cherish qi, the internal energy flowing through their meridians. They practice standing meditation for hours, their legs shaking, while their minds focus on a single point just below the navel. This is Zhongzhuang, or standing like a tree. To an outsider, it might look like they're doing nothing at all. But inside, their bones are becoming dense, their tendons turning into steel cables, and their minds are becoming as still as a mountain lake. Their gym is the forest. They strike bags of beans to toughen their hands, They carry water up thousands of stone steps, and they move through Taikai forms with a slow, deliberate grace that feels timeless. They believe that being fit means being hollow, free of tension and ego, so the universe can flow through you. Their diet mirrors this quest for longevity. They sip green tea to sharpen their minds and enjoy congee, a soothing rice porridge cooked with ginger and juju dates. They understand that the body is a garden, not a machine. You can't force a garden to grow. You nurture it with patience and consistency. As the temple bells echo through the valley, signaling the end of the morning practice, we see the monks bowing to one another. Their strength is quiet, hidden, and enduring. It's a strength that doesn't fade with age. It ripens like old wine. Now, let's hop over to Japan, where the bushi, or samurai, are getting serious with their training in Saburi. They're doing thousands of repeated overhead cuts with a heavy wooden sword, called a bokken. There's no variety here. It's all about the pursuit of perfection through repetition. The sweat soaks through their indigo robes, and the only sound is the kai, that gut-level shout that releases their spirit into each strike. They don't count sets. They count the suns that rise and set on their dedication. Their meals are simple, often consisting of fermented soybeans, miso, and fish, fueling bodies that need to be ready to spring into action. From total stillness in the blink of an eye, as night falls on this eastern world, the incense sticks burn low, and the practitioners' bodies hum with the quiet vibration of a well-tuned instrument. It's a beautiful reminder of how these ancient practices connect body, mind, and spirit. Each culture has its unique approach to fitness, but at the heart of it all is a deep respect for the body and a commitment to the journey of self-discovery. So, what do you think? Isn't it fascinating how these ancient practices still resonate today? They remind us that movement is more than just exercise. It's a way to connect with ourselves and the world around us. Whether it's swinging a goda, flowing through taikai, or mastering the bokken, these traditions teach us that fitness is a holistic journey, one that nurtures not just the body, but the soul, too. As the Roman world stretched thin and night winds moved through abandoned forums, the story of movement did not fade. It simply traveled far to the east, where monsoon clouds gathered over red earth and temple bells rang softly at dawn. The body was trained not for conquest, but for alignment. In ancient India, exercise was inseparable from breath, belief, and balance. Long before the word yoga traveled across oceans and centuries, it lived quietly in forest clearings and stone courtyards. Young students rose before sunrise, the air cool against bare skin, and stepped onto packed earth still damp with dew. Movement began slowly, not with strain, but with awareness. Limbs extended like waking branches, joints rolled gently, breath guided every action. These early yogic practices were not about flexibility as spectacle, but about preparing the body to sit, to endure stillness, to carry the mind inward without distraction. Strength came from holding positions for long moments, muscles trembling quietly while the face remained calm, squatting, lunging, balancing on one leg while the other folded close. All trained endurance deeper than visible muscle. Diet was simple and intentional. Rice, lentils, milk, fruit, and vegetables nourished without excess. Spices warmed the body and aided digestion. Overeating was discouraged, believed to dull both body and spirit. Recovery was built into the rhythm of life. Midday rest was common, and sleep followed darkness naturally. Oil massage, abhyanga, was practiced not as luxury, but as maintenance, hands working warmth into joints and muscles to keep energy flowing. Alongside yoga, more martial traditions grew, especially in the southern regions. Kalaripai Otu emerged as one of the world's oldest fighting systems, blending combat with dance-like movement. Training took place in sunken earthen pits, the red soil cool beneath feet. Students practiced kicks, leaps, and weapon forms, their bodies becoming flexible, fast, and resilient. Exercises included animal-inspired movements, low stances held until thighs burned, and repetitive strikes that trained coordination as much as strength. Here, fitness was devotion. The body was a vessel for dharma, a tool for protection, and a bridge between the physical and the divine. As evening lamps flickered in temples and chants echoed softly, tired bodies rested not in collapse, but in quiet satisfaction. Meanwhile, beyond mountains and deserts, another philosophy of movement unfolded under bamboo roofs and misty hills. In ancient China, exercise was woven into medicine, spirituality, and daily survival. The body was seen as a landscape of flowing energy, and movement was a way to keep rivers clear and paths open. Early practices like Taoyin involved slow, deliberate stretches paired with breath, designed to massage organs and circulate qi. These were not dramatic displays, but subtle, almost meditative routines practiced at dawn, when the world felt balanced between night and day. As dynasties rose and fell, martial systems evolved alongside philosophy. The Shaolin Temple, nestled among forested mountains, became famous not for aggression, but for discipline. Monks trained their bodies to endure long hours of stillness and sudden bursts of action. Training floors echoed softly as feet moved through forms that mimicked animals. The 5 animals exercises, Wukingsi, drew inspiration from the tiger, deer, bear, monkey, and crane. Each animal taught a different quality. The tiger built strength and ferocity through low stances and powerful strikes. The deer emphasized agility and grace, with twisting movements that opened joints. The bear cultivated rooted stability, slow and heavy. The monkey encouraged speed and coordination, playful yet precise. The crane refined balance and breath, movements light and controlled. Diet was modest. Rice, vegetables, tofu, and tea sustained long training days. Meat was rare, and excess was avoided. Recovery was intentional, but understated. Herbal baths eased soreness. Sleep followed strict schedules. The philosophy behind this training was harmony. A strong body without balance invited illness. A flexible body without strength invited weakness. As fog rolled through pine trees and temple bells marked time, movement became prayer, and prayer became movement. As the sun set on eastern courtyards, another land hardened its youth beneath open skies and unforgiving discipline. In ancient Sparta, fitness was not a choice, but law. From childhood, boys were trained for endurance above all else. They ran barefoot over rough ground, their feet toughening with every step. Clothing was minimal, even in cold, to build resilience. Exercises were simple, relentless, and often harsh. Wrestling, running, jumping, and mock combat filled days from dawn to dusk. There were no ornate gyms, only open fields and dusty grounds where bodies learned pain as a teacher rather than an enemy. Food was deliberately scarce. Meals were plain, designed to keep hunger familiar. This was not neglect, but philosophy. Hunger sharpened awareness and taught control. Recovery was minimal by modern standards. Rest was earned, not given. Sleep came quickly on hard beds after exhausting days. Yet within this severity existed a strange clarity. Strength was communal, not individual. The goal was not personal glory, but the survival of the state. Even girls trained, running and throwing to ensure strong future generations. Spartan fitness stripped movement to its core, reminding the body what it could endure. As stars filled the night sky above simple shelters, aching muscles relaxed into sleep, prepared to rise again without complaint. Half a world away, in lands of dense jungle and stone pyramids, endurance took on ritual meaning. Among the Aztecs, physical training began early and continued through life. Young men trained in the Telpochcali, community schools where discipline was learned alongside movement. Days began with labor, carrying wood, hauling water, working fields built strength naturally. Running was essential, not for sport, but for communication and warfare. Messengers covered vast distances at steady pace, their lungs and legs conditioned by daily repetition. Training included mock battles, wrestling, and weapon drills performed in open courtyards under the watchful eyes of elders. Diet supported endurance. Maize, beans, squash, chili, and occasional insects provided energy and nutrients. Protein came not from abundance, but from balance. Recovery was ritualized through sweat baths, temazcals, stone chambers heated with hot rocks, where steam enveloped tired bodies. Inside, darkness and heat loosened muscles and calmed the mind. Strength here was sacred, physical. Endurance was preparation for service to gods and community. As drums echoed during ceremonies and incense filled the air, bodies moved not for aesthetics, but for cosmic order. As night deepened across continents, one truth connected these distant cultures. They did not separate fitness from life. Movement was not squeezed into spare hours, but flowed through every day. There were no mirrors, no numbers, no competitions broadcast to crowds unseen. There was only repetition, patience, and belief. The sound of breath, the feel of earth beneath feet, the quiet pride of a body capable of work and rest. Ancient workouts were not lost secrets hidden in forgotten scrolls. They were simple truths lived slowly, day after day. As torches dimmed, lamps burned low, and stars wheeled overhead. Tired bodies everywhere surrendered to sleep, knowing tomorrow would ask the same gentle effort again. Night fell on aching shoulders and satisfied minds, and as fires dimmed in villages and temples, the quiet truth remained that movement followed the shape of the land itself. In the cold north, where pine forests whispered and long winters pressed bodies indoors, ancient peoples trained differently, yet with the same patience. Among the early Norse and Germanic tribes, strength was born from necessity, rather than philosophy. Men and women hauled timber through snow, lifted stones to mark coming of age, and rowed heavy boats across dark, restless seas. These were not workouts planned in advance, but rhythms dictated by survival. Rowing demanded synchronized power, backs and arms pulling in steady cadence as water slapped against wood. Wrestling was common, not ceremonial, but practical, teaching balance on uneven ground and control in close quarters. Stone lifting became a quiet test of worth, with massive rocks placed near villages, waiting for hands brave enough to grip them. Diet was dense and warming. Fish, meat, grains, and fermented foods fueled long days of labor. Fat was valued, not feared, providing energy and insulation. Recovery came through heat and rest. Saunas, simple wooden rooms filled with steam, relaxed muscles stiff from cold and work. Sleep was deep and heavy, earned through exhaustion. Strength here was not sculpted, but solid, wrapped in layers of wool and fur, ready to endure storms and darkness. As centuries turned and cultures shifted, movement adapted again, flowing into medieval worlds shaped by faith and hierarchy. In monasteries across Europe, monks trained their bodies quietly, often without naming it exercise. Daily schedules demanded walking long cloisters, standing for hours in prayer, kneeling, rising, carrying books, tending gardens. These repetitive actions built endurance subtly. Some monasteries practiced manual labor as spiritual discipline, chopping wood, digging soil, lifting stones, believing that physical effort purified the soul. Diet was modest, often vegetarian, with bread, vegetables, and occasional fish. Fasting was common, teaching restraint and awareness of the body's limits. Recovery was spiritual as much as physical. Silence, sleep, and prayer calmed both muscle and mind. Outside monastery walls, knights trained for war. Their workouts were heavy and unforgiving. Armor weighed more than modern gym loads, and simply wearing it demanded strength. Training involved sword drills, riding for hours, wrestling in armor to learn balance under weight. Diet favored meat and bread, fueling strength. Though dental health suffered quietly, recovery was limited. But baths and massages were used when available. Strength served duty and honor, not health. Farther east, in Japan, movement became refined into discipline and art. Samurai trained their bodies with deliberate precision. Sword practice repeated the same cuts thousands of times, until muscles moved without thought. Archery demanded stillness as much as strength. The body held in perfect alignment while breath slowed to near silence. Martial training included running, lifting, and grappling, but always under control. The body was trained to obey instantly, without wasted motion. Diet was light and balanced. Rice, fish, vegetables, and tea sustained lean, efficient bodies. Overeating was discouraged. Recovery came through hot baths, stretching, and mindful rest. Zen philosophy shaped training, teaching that tension wasted energy. Strength lay in calm readiness. Even farmers practiced endurance unknowingly. Bent over fields for hours, carrying loads, walking long distances between villages. Movement here was humble and constant, not dramatic. As the world edged closer to modernity, echoes of ancient fitness, remained, even as machines and cities grew. In traditional African societies, physical training was communal and celebratory. Dance built endurance, rhythm, and coordination. Long ceremonies could last hours. Bodies moving in patterns passed down through generations. Hunting required sprinting, tracking, lifting, and carrying over vast distances. Wrestling traditions tested strength and technique, often accompanied by music and ritual. Diets varied by region, but emphasized whole foods, grains, roots, fruits, and occasional meat. Recovery was communal as well. Storytelling, song, and shared rest allowed bodies to recover while minds connected. Strength was identity, woven into culture rather than measured. Across the Americas, indigenous tribes trained through daily life. In the Andes, altitude itself became a trainer. Walking steep paths strengthened lungs and legs. Carrying loads across mountains built resilience unmatched by artificial means. Diets rich in potatoes, maize, and quinoa fueled endurance. Recovery came through coca leaves, rest, and deep sleep under cold stars. In North America, tribes practiced running as ceremony and communication. Long-distance runners moved effortlessly across plains and forests. Their bodies adapted through years of gradual conditioning. Strength was quiet and enduring, not explosive. As centuries overlapped and faded, one pattern repeated softly. Ancient people moved because life required it, and belief sanctified it. They did not chase novelty. They trusted consistency. They listened to seasons, to hunger, to fatigue. They rested when darkness came and rose with light. Modern fitness often seeks shortcuts, but ancient bodies learned patience. They built strength slowly, layer by layer, breath by breath. There were no playlists, only wind and footsteps. No timers, only sunrise and sunset. No mirrors, only the feeling of capability. As the final lamps dimmed in forgotten halls and the world settled into shared sleep, the wisdom of ancient movement lingered, not as secret knowledge, but as quiet reminder. The body thrives on rhythm. It remembers effort when effort is gentle and repeated. It recovers when rest is honored. These truths drifted through time, waiting to be noticed again, as dawn returned again and again across centuries. The pattern of human movement remained steady, like a heartbeat that never truly stopped, even as empires rose and fell, even as languages shifted and borders dissolved. Bodies continued to learn through repetition rather than instruction. In the Islamic Golden Age, movement was guided by both scholarship and faith. Cities like Baghdad, Cordoba, and Damascus thrived with learning, and within their walls, physical discipline was respected as part of a balanced life. Walking was central. Scholars and traders crossed cities on foot, covering long distances daily. Horse riding demanded balance, leg strength, and coordination, shaping bodies without deliberate training plans. Archery was practiced not just for war, but as a disciplined art, requiring stability, breath control, and patience. Diet emphasized moderation. Bread, dates, fruits, legumes, milk, and small amounts of meat sustained steady energy. Overindulgence was discouraged, believed to dull the spirit. Recovery was intentional. Bathhouses offered warmth and relaxation, steam loosening muscles tired from travel and labor. Sleep followed prayer schedules, creating natural rhythms of rest and wakefulness. Movement was neither glorified nor ignored, simply accepted as part of a harmonious life. In Central Asia, nomadic cultures trained bodies through constant motion. Riding horses for hours each day built powerful legs and resilient spines. Archery from horseback demanded coordination few modern exercises can match. Children learned to ride almost as soon as they could walk, their bodies adapting gradually and effortlessly. Strength here was elastic, responsive, always ready. Diets were high in dairy and meat, providing dense nutrition necessary for cold climates and long journeys. Recovery came through rest beneath open skies, wrapped in felt and listening to wind move across endless grasslands. These bodies were shaped by landscape itself, molded by travel rather than repetition in one place. As the medieval world slowly gave way to early modern societies, physical training became more formalized, though still far from mechanized. In Renaissance Europe, fencing schools refined movement into precise patterns. Footwork drills built agility and balance. Lunges and parries strengthened legs and core through repetition. Dance emerged as a respected physical discipline. Court dances required endurance, posture, and control, bodies moving for hours in structured elegance. Even nobility trained physically, though disguised as art and etiquette. Diets improved slightly with trade, introducing new fruits and spices. Recovery remained simple. Sleep, baths, and occasional massage soothed tired limbs. In China, practices like Tai Chi evolved, emphasizing slow, continuous movement. These routines trained balance, coordination, and internal strength rather than visible muscle. Practiced at dawn. In courtyards and gardens, Tai Chi movements flowed like water, joints opening gently, breath deep and calm. Older bodies moved alongside younger ones, proving fitness was lifelong, adaptable, forgiving. There was no rush, no strain. Strength was felt rather than displayed. Diet supported longevity, favoring vegetables, grains, and herbal teas. Recovery blended seamlessly with practice, movement itself becoming restoration. In Southeast Asia, martial traditions combined rhythm and endurance. Silat practitioners moved low to the ground, developing strong legs and flexible hips. Training involved flowing sequences that resembled dance, yet demanded precision and stamina. These movements were practiced repeatedly, often accompanied by music, reinforcing rhythm and breath. Diets were simple and plant-heavy, with rice as staple. Recovery came through stretching, massage, and rest in humid shade. Movement adapted to climate, slow and controlled to conserve energy. As the world approached the modern age, echoes of ancient workouts persisted in rural life. Farmers rose with sun and worked until dusk, lifting, walking, bending, carrying. Their bodies remained strong without formal exercise. Craftsmen repeated precise movements daily, developing localized strength and endurance. Fishermen hauled nets, sailors climbed rigging, miners swung tools, all building fitness incidentally. These were not romantic lives, but they produced resilient bodies adapted to task and terrain. Diets were seasonal and limited, preventing excess. Recovery followed darkness. Sleep deep and restorative. Then came machines. Steam engines replaced muscle. Cities compressed space. Movement became optional rather than necessary. Exercise slowly transformed from survival into recreation, then into industry. Yet beneath modern complexity, the ancient truths remained unchanged. Bodies still responded to consistent movement, varied effort, and adequate rest. They still favored whole foods over excess, rhythm over intensity, patience over urgency. Ancient workouts were never about optimization. They were about participation in life. As lamps flicker low, and this quiet journey nears its end, the echoes of those forgotten courtyards and open fields remain. Dust beneath bare feet, breath rising in cool morning air, the steady comfort of repetition. These images linger not to instruct, but to soothe. They remind us that strength does not need noise, and fitness does not require obsession. It asks only for presence, for movement repeated gently, for rest honored deeply. We've walked through forgotten courtyards and open-air gyms tonight, across rivers and deserts, temples and fields. Bodies moved for gods, for kings, for survival, and sometimes simply because the sun rose and demanded it. If you've enjoyed drifting through these quiet histories, you can like and subscribe, and let this channel accompany you into rest whenever the night feels long. For now, let the body soften, the breath slow, and sleep arrive without effort.
As we stand in the present moment, the river of time keeps flowing forward. What lies ahead is not written in stone, but in the choice we make today. History has shown us that every ending is a new beginning. Every fall is followed by a rise. Let us look ahead with hope and wisdom to what the future might hold. The age of unity. In the coming years, the world may become even more connected. Borders between nations will feel less important. People from different lands will work together on big dreams, healing the earth, exploring space, and solving problems like hunger and sickness. Imagine a world where every child has a school, every family has clean water, and every person has a voice. This is not just a dream, it is a possibility. History has taught us that when human unity, great things happen. From the first fire to the first spaceship, progress comes from sharing knowledge and helping one another. The stars are calling once again after the moon. Human will reach Mars. As we stand in the present moment, the river of time keeps flowing forward. What lies ahead is not written in stone, but in the choice we make today. History has shown us that every ending is a new beginning. Every fall is followed by a rise. Let us look ahead with hope and wisdom to what the future might hold. The age of unity. In the coming years, the world may become even more connected. Borders between nations will feel less important. People from different lands will work together on big dreams, healing the earth, exploring space, and solving problems like hunger and sickness. Imagine a world where every child has a school, every family has clean water, and every person has a voice. This is not just a dream, it is a possibility. History has taught us that when human unity, great things happen. From the first fire to the first spaceship, progress comes from sharing knowledge and helping one another. The stars are calling once again after the moon. Human will reach Mars. As we stand in the present moment, the river of time keeps flowing forward. What lies ahead is not written in stone, but in the choice we make today. History has shown us that every ending is a new beginning. Every fall is followed by a rise. Let us look ahead with hope and wisdom to what the future might hold. The age of unity. In the coming years, the world may become even more connected. Borders between nations will feel less important. People from different lands will work together on big dreams, healing the earth, exploring space, and solving problems like hunger and sickness. Imagine a world where every child has a school, every family has clean water, and every person has a voice. This is not just a dream, it is a possibility. History has taught us that when human unity, great things happen. From the first fire to the first spaceship, progress comes from sharing knowledge and helping one another. The stars are calling once again after the moon. Human will reach Mars. As we stand in the present moment, the river of time keeps flowing forward. What lies ahead is not written in stone, but in the choice we make today. History has shown us that every ending is a new beginning. Every fall is followed by a rise. Let us look ahead with hope and wisdom to what the future might hold. The age of unity. In the coming years, the world may become even more connected. Borders between nations will feel less important. People from different lands will work together on big dreams, healing the earth, exploring space, and solving problems like hunger and sickness. Imagine a world where every child has a school, every family has clean water, and every person has a voice. This is not just a dream, it is a possibility. History has taught us that when human unity, great things happen. From the fast fire to the fast spaceship, progress comes from sharing knowledge and helping one another. The stars are calling once again after the moon. Human will reach Mars. As we stand in the present moment, the river of time keeps flowing forward. What lies ahead is not written in stone, but in the choice we make today. History has shown us that every ending is a new beginning. Every fall is followed by a rise. Let us look ahead with hope and wisdom to what the future might hold. The age of unity. In the coming years, the world may become even more connected. Borders between nations will feel less important. People from different lands will work together on big dreams, healing the earth, exploring space, and solving problems like hunger and sickness. Imagine a world where every child has a school, every family has clean water, and every person has a voice. This is not just a dream, it is a possibility. History has taught us that when human unity, great things happen. From the fast fire to the fast spaceship, progress comes from sharing knowledge and helping one another. The stars are calling once again after the moon. Human will reach Mars. As we stand in the present moment, the river of time keeps flowing forward. What lies ahead is not written in stone, but in the choice we make today. History has shown us that every ending is a new beginning. Every fall is followed by a rise. Let us look ahead with hope and wisdom to what the future might hold. The age of unity. In the coming years, the world may become even more connected. Borders between nations will feel less important. People from different lands will work together on big dreams, healing the earth, exploring space, and solving problems like hunger and sickness. Imagine a world where every child has a school, every family has clean water, and every person has a voice. This is not just a dream, it is a possibility. History has taught us that when human unity, great things happen. From the fast fire to the fast spaceship, progress comes from sharing knowledge and helping one another. The stars are calling once again after the moon. Human will reach Mars. As we stand in the present moment, the river of time keeps flowing forward. What lies ahead is not written in stone, but in the choice we make today. History has shown us that every ending is a new beginning. Every fall is followed by a rise. Let us look ahead with hope and wisdom to what the future might hold. The age of unity. In the coming years, the world may become even more connected. Borders between nations will feel less important. People from different lands will work together on big dreams, healing the earth, exploring space, and solving problems like hunger and sickness. Imagine a world where every child has a school, every family has clean water, and every person has a voice. This is not just a dream, it is a possibility. History has taught us that when human unity, great things happen. From the first fire to the first spaceship, progress comes from sharing knowledge and helping one another. The stars are calling once again after the moon. Human will reach Mars. As we stand in the present moment, the river of time keeps flowing forward. What lies ahead is not written in stone, but in the choice we make today. History has shown us that every ending is a new beginning. Every fall is followed by a rise. Let us look ahead with hope and wisdom to what the future might hold. The age of unity. In the coming years, the world may become even more connected. Borders between nations will feel less important. People from different lands will work together on big dreams, healing the earth, exploring space, and solving problems like hunger and sickness. Imagine a world where every child has a school, every family has clean water, and every person has a voice. This is not just a dream, it is a possibility. History has taught us that when human unity, great things happen. From the first fire to the first spaceship, progress comes from sharing knowledge and helping one another. The stars are calling once again after the moon. Human will reach Mars. As we stand in the present moment, the river of time keeps flowing forward. What lies ahead is not written in stone, but in the choice we make today. History has shown us that every ending is a new beginning. Every fall is followed by a rise. Let us look ahead with hope and wisdom to what the future might hold. The age of unity. In the coming years, the world may become even more connected. Borders between nations will feel less important. People from different lands will work together on big dreams, healing the earth, exploring space, and solving problems like hunger, and sickness. Imagine a world where every child has a school, every family has clean water, and every person has a voice. This is not just a dream, it is a possibility. History has taught us that when human unity, great things happen. From the first fire to the first spaceship, progress comes from sharing knowledge and helping one another. The stars are calling once again after the moon. Human will reach Mars. As we stand in the present moment, the river of time keeps flowing forward. What lies ahead is not written in stone, but in the choice we make today. History has shown us that every ending is a new beginning. Every fall is followed by a rise. Let us look ahead with hope and wisdom to what the future might hold. The age of unity. In the coming years, the world may become even more connected. Borders between nations will feel less important. People from different lands will work together on big dreams, healing the earth, exploring space, and solving problems like hunger and sickness. Imagine a world where every child has a school, every family has clean water, and every person has a voice. This is not just a dream, it is a possibility. History has taught us that when human unity, great things happen. From the first fire to the first spaceship, progress comes from sharing knowledge and helping one another. The stars are calling once again after the moon. Human will reach Mars. As we stand in the present moment, the river of time keeps flowing forward. What lies ahead is not written in stone, but in the choice we make today. History has shown us that every ending is a new beginning. Every fall is followed by a rise. Let us look ahead with hope and wisdom to what the future might hold. The age of unity. In the coming years, the world may become even more connected. Borders between nations will feel less important. People from different lands will work together on big dreams, healing the earth, exploring space, and solving problems like hunger and sickness. Imagine a world where every child has a school, every family has clean water, and every person has a voice. This is not just a dream, it is a possibility. History has taught us that when human unity, great things happen. From the first fire to the first spaceship, progress comes from sharing knowledge and helping one another. The stars are calling once again after the moon. Human will reach Mars. As we stand in the present moment, the river of time keeps flowing forward. What lies ahead is not written in stone, but in the choice we make today. History has shown us that every ending is a new beginning. Every fall is followed by a rise. Let us look ahead with hope and wisdom to what the future might hold. The age of unity. In the coming years, the world may become even more connected. Borders between nations will feel less important. People from different lands will work together on big dreams, healing the earth, exploring space, and solving problems like hunger and sickness. Imagine a world where every child has a school, every family has clean water, and every person has a voice. This is not just a dream, it is a possibility. History has taught us that when human unity, great things happen. From the first fire to the first spaceship, progress comes from sharing knowledge and helping one another. The stars are calling once again after the moon. Human will reach Mars. As we stand in the present moment, the river of time keeps flowing forward. What lies ahead is not written in stone, but in the choice we make today. History has shown us that every ending is a new beginning. Every fall is followed by a rise. Let us look ahead with hope and wisdom to what the future might hold. The age of unity. In the coming years, the world may become even more connected. Borders between nations will feel less important. People from different lands will work together on big dreams, healing the earth, exploring space, and solving problems like hunger and sickness. Imagine a world where every child has a school, every family has clean water, and every person has a voice. This is not just a dream, it is a possibility. History has taught us that when human unity, great things happen. From the first fire to the first spaceship, progress comes from sharing knowledge and helping one another. The stars are calling once again after the moon. Human will reach Mars. As we stand in the present moment, the river of time keeps flowing forward. What lies ahead is not written in stone, but in the choice we make today. History has shown us that every ending is a new beginning. Every fall is followed by a rise. Let us look ahead with hope and wisdom to what the future might hold. The age of unity. In the coming years, the world may become even more connected. Borders between nations will feel less important. People from different lands will work together on big dreams, healing the earth, exploring space, and solving problems like hunger and sickness. Imagine a world where every child has a school, every family has clean water, and every person has a voice. This is not just a dream, it is a possibility. History has taught us that when human unity, great things happen. From the first fire to the first spaceship, progress comes from sharing knowledge and helping one another. The stars are calling once again after the moon. Human will reach Mars.